My name's Curtis, and I've lived in Kettering for the last 10 years, and I run a business here and have a family here. We are standing in the William Knibb Centre, which, when you hear my story, I refer to the significance that he lived in Kettering and worked in Jamaica, and my family are from Jamaica and have came to England, and now I'm in Kettering. So that connection is really significant. I have always wanted to write a book, and one of the chapters in there is about my mum and her journey and my journey and how they coincide, naturally, obviously, and sister again, coincide. Very formal. I've always wanted to write a book, and one of those chapters is about my mum and how she came to be in England and have me, and how she's encouraged me to do the best that I can and I'm trying to do. And so when you asked to join the William Knibb Talks, then yeah, I prayed that morning, and that's what came to me, is to talk about the power of my mum. It was actually quite nerve-wracking because we had some neighbours there who don't know much about me, and most of the audience don't know much about me. So to share some personal things and to share pictures of myself and how I was growing up, that was quite daunting, but it was a nice crowd, it was a nice reaction. And although I was last, or one of the last ones, I was getting more nervous through the evening, but yeah, it was lovely.
It's a pleasure to be speaking at the Knibb Talks, named in the honour of William Knibb, a man honoured in the crest of the Kettering crest of arms on the town hall just around the corner. He is honoured by the black slave because of his role in the pursuit to abolish slavery and his missionary work in Jamaica. He is a man like few other abolitionists, who it could be argued is the reason why I'm standing here today. My mum, Hyacinth Bailey, and William Knibb have something else in common other than living in Jamaica. In 1838, William Knibb declared, "I pledge myself never to rest satisfied until I see my black brother enjoy the same civil and religious liberties which I enjoy myself, and to see them take a proper stand in society." On the 7th of September 1974, my mum got on a plane from Jamaica to London, age 16, to join her dad and stepmom. 2 years later, she'd been kicked out, living in a bedsit in Brixton. In 1979, age 21, she set off to hospital all alone to have me. With the father of this child across the other side of the world, alone in a bedsit, she must have determined the same as William Knibb. I will never rest satisfied until my boy, this black boy from Brixton, will take a proper stand in society. It is this determination, the power of a mum, my mum, that I'd like to tell you more about today. 2 years after I was born, Brixton would see some of the most violent riots London had ever seen. Over 200 arrests, 300 police officers injured. How would this single mum and baby boy make it out of Brixton and this deprived situation? Like the story of Moses, who was facing danger and put into the River Nile in the hope that he would find a better family. So my mum and I went in search down the River Thames as she found another partner who took us in, and I would soon call Dad. No way was this boy gonna grow up fatherless. In 1985, she received the first of many calls from my school. Only this first call was not a phone call. Our home backed on to the school playground, and from my mum's bedroom, she had full sight of the playground. One lunchtime, as I was being beaten up by the bullies and the older boys, my mum, with this supernatural power, heard my cry for help. When the banging on the window would not get the playground attendant's attention, she proceeded down 5 flights of stairs, headscarf, dressing gown, and yes, her slippers. Out the front door, through the school gates and into the playground. "Leave my son alone," she screamed. Why aren't you doing something about this? She heckled the school teacher. From then on, those bullies fought twice before they took me on. However, I now had to contend with the beginning of every playtime, the whole school looking up, wondering if Hyacinth Bailey was watching through those curtains. She's since confessed she was. The next call came from my new school. Mrs. Bailey, we have an issue. Your son's too smart for our school. We've moved him up 2 years and there's nothing more we can do with him. He's even helping teach the class. If you can, I would find some way to get him into private education where he could fulfill his potential. How on earth was a receptionist working for Southwark Council, now with 3 children, going to send her boy to private school? Thankfully, she maintained contact with his father, who was now on the other side of the world pursuing a career in medicine and business. She convinced him to commit to paying the school fees if she found the right school. So there I was, walking through the hustle and bustle of Brixton, with a blazer, a cap, and a shorts. Now trying to find the new bullies who would take the piss out of my uniform. They said I thrived at this school, but Dulwich College was where I was destined for, a leading school at the time. Surely this move would help Mum achieve the goal of this boy taking a proper stand in society. But the power of the mum, in this time in the form of intuition, kicked in. Seeing her son under enormous pressure to get into this prestigious school, crying in the morning, not wanting to leave the house, losing his love for school, she made a tough call. Although the entrance exams were passed and a part scholarship was secured, she preferred to have a sane child rather than a stressed out, educated child. So off I went back into the state school system. If this boy was going to make it, by the grace of God, he would make it anywhere. However, the phone calls still continued. Mrs. Bailey, can we put him through the Mensa Gifted Child program? Mrs. Bailey, he talks too much in class. Mrs. Bailey is hanging around with the wrong crowd. Mrs. Bailey is not fulfilling his potential. Mrs. Bailey, can we talk about your son's girlfriends? Then the toughest call came. Mrs. Bailey, your son's been caught with a knife. We've confiscated it, we'll be suspending him from school and we'll call in the police. You need to come in on Monday. I remember the day well. How on earth do I face Mum? She's going to go mad, she's going to go crazy. Do I run away from home? I can't. She's booked that flipping English tutor for me at 4:04. But haha, if I got home at the same time as the tutor, maybe this could diffuse the mum bomb. After explaining my side of the story and apologising, Mum was still angry, but still more determined that this incident would not affect my future. The power of a mum shone through again as she hatched a plan to appeal the suspension and get it removed from my file so it wouldn't affect my college and university applications and my ability to take a proper stand in the community. It was out of character mistake, she said. I will not allow this to follow him throughout his life, she said to the school governor she had demanded to meet. It was agreed a letter from my mum would go in my school file, explaining that it was not my knife and I was returning it to the owner. It shall not be heard against him. I think it worked. After I left school, it was college and then on to university, but Mum would be that guiding light. When I walked into her bedroom one day and said, Mum, that ex-girlfriend, she's pregnant. And it was potentially mine. Potentially, she said, well, it is or it isn't. Mum, it's complicated, I said. Using her power in the form of wisdom, she helped a complicated situation become simple, and a simple situation become beautiful with the birth of my daughter, Renee. However, Mum made it clear, I better hurry up and get a job because I'll be looking after that child and fulfilling my role as a man, as a father. Going to Camp America and Iron Upper was out of the question. So I got a job. I moved out and started to succeed in my job as a recruiter, often working 10 to 12 hours a day, winning all the sales prizes and traveling away around the world. Mum would never be far. As I came home for visits, she would say, "You're doing so well in your career, working for these people, making them all of this money. But son, if you would commit your life to God, you would see how much more you would be blessed. Just imagine what God would do for you when you commit to Him. Just imagine what He could do for you if you were running your own business." So where are we now? Mum and Dad took a plane and retired in Jamaica. She's upgraded from the bedsit and now has a house in London and under the warm sun of the Caribbean. She's living by the beach. I fulfilled Mum's final hope for her boy. I found a wife whose granddad also immigrated from Jamaica, and I started a family of my own. On September the 16th, 2010, I became a Christian, and 13 years ago this month, I started my own business. And I hope I'm making William Knibb proud too, using all my life experiences and the grace of God to support our local community through our local church. So what have I learned on this journey? Never give up, ever. Encourage your children to be the best that they can be. Defend them against all injustices. Encourage them to explore their faith in Jesus. And finally, Mum's advice is the best advice. Never underestimate the power of a mum.
I would like people to take away that mums are important, the influence that a mum can have on someone's life, and therefore we should honour mums, we should respect our mums, we should look out for those who are struggling as a mum, and then just as individuals, just never to give up, because if my mum had given up, if she had let me give up in certain circumstances, then I wouldn't be here today. So those would be the two things: to look out for mums and to never give up.